welcome to episode 1 of Masters of the Gamerverse. I'm your host, Shah Elemental, and we're going to kick it off here with my man, Death of Simplicity. And we are here to talk about a few things, get into a few subjects, get into some gaming stuff, a little bit of hip hop. We're going to run the gamut, kind of try to cover these subjects fully, show no favoritism, be honest, etc., etc. So on that note, I just want to introduce my man, Death of Simplicity here, the newest member of Genosha Records. Dopeness,
Yes,
dopeness all
sir.
the way. With my
Yes,
man
what's
Weapon
good?
ESP, the chilling, and goes to the machine. And I can't complain, man. Like I was saying before, got out of work early to talk about video games. Who can complain about that, right?
Right. That's a
And
good
I get
day.
to talk to a fellow hip hop head about it, which makes it even better. We can
Definitely.
connect on two levels.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm Death Over Simplicity. I'm coming from Worcester, Mass. And I've been rhyming for a long time and just connected to video games. Some of the first rhymes I wrote, there was this like hip hop karaoke game. It came out in like 03, 04 called Get on the Mic. Had Jadakiss on the cover.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. It was funny. It was a PS2 game, came with like a USB microphone. And it was like whatever songs were out, they had those to rhyme, and it was ill. It was like you start off like rapping in the mirror, and then eventually you're like rhyming in a stadium, like in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
Guitar
dope.
Hero. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a section of the game where it's basically a freestyle section. So you play the beats, the instrumentals.
Oh.
So yeah, at like 12, 13, that's where I was kicking some of my first rhymes. You know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope. That's a hill connection too between hip hop and gaming. That's what I'm talking about right there. So friggin' let's get into it. I wanted to start off talking about this Activision Blizzard situation with Microsoft, which I'm sure you're aware of. Everybody's been talking about it for a while now, and it's a pretty big story. But it seems like it's kind of at this point to where we got to wait on the European Commission to kind of set everything. As of now, I guess the CMA denied it, and they're going to have to do a review. And basically, it sounds like, through everything I've been hearing anyway, that once they do this review, pretty much whatever they come up with, everybody else is going to follow in line with. Me personally, I don't really see a reason not to do it. I feel like Microsoft's in a distant third at this point anyway. They don't really have, any games at this point.
Yeah, no serious exclusives.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me too. I mean, you think about how many studios they've purchased and scooped up within the last 3, 4, 5 years, and it seems to me like there's something really going wrong. I don't know if it's an industry thing because you are seeing a lot less games come out kind of recently, and things have slowed down development-wise. That could be due to the costs, snowballing and things of that nature too. But I'm not really sure. It just seems like it's kind of dragging out to the point where if this doesn't get settled soon, they may have to move on. But if they do get it, I mean, I don't really see the harm in it. I feel like if Call of Duty would go, say exclusive to Xbox, Sony will come up with something. I mean, they still have Killzone, Resistance, and a few other
That'd
properties.
be
So,
dope. Listen, like if they bring some more competition and like diversify stuff, that'd be ill. But I mean, I'm kind of against exclusives in general. So it's kind of, you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But if I had my way, they would just have most of the games like cross-platform. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would be a perfect world. I mean, we're kind of almost there. Where at least now we're getting some of the cross-platform play and things like that we probably should have had a long time ago. I still
Yeah,
think like things
definitely.
like Madden should be doing it, but
Yeah,
NFL
they
wants
should
their
be
money.
doing anything with online multiplayer should be doing it. That's crazy
Yeah,
that they don't.
yeah. It kind of extends the life of it too. You would think the life of the game and how long it has an active player base. Because when you're not limiting yourself to a certain ecosystem, then more people can play. I mean, look at Fortnite. Perfect
Yeah.
example.
Yep.
Apex.
And then it just runs until, they shut the servers down, which,
Yeah, exactly.
they can run it however long, as long as there's an active community.
Yeah, and some of those things have a long trail end on them too, a long tail. I mean, what I bet if, as a matter of fact, I think I popped on maybe 6 months ago Battlefield 3, PS3, just on a whim to see, is anybody on here actually playing? And there was a decent amount of people still playing on there. Same
Word.
thing for Modern Warfare 2, the old one though, not the new one.
Did you get smoked? Are they all like elite players?
Oh yeah, I stood no chance.
Word.
None. I had like my old. I looked at it. I'm like, I'm like a level 50 something. I used to think I was good, and then I'm looking at these dudes. They've like the Battlefield equivalent of prestige like 72 times. I'm like, all right,
Word.
like if I get grazed by a bullet, I'm bleeding out. I'm done. Forget it.
Yeah.
Reset. But yeah, I mean, I don't see the harm. I get why Sony would oppose it, just from a business standpoint, because obviously they'd like to keep Call of Duty on there. You know, it makes them money too. Anything bought through the store, they get a piece of and everything. So I can see why they'd want to keep that revenue stream coming in. But as far as it being a huge threat to them, I don't see it like that. You know, obviously time will tell, I guess, because it looks like, if I had to guess at this point, I think it's eventually going to go through. I think it's just going to take a little while. The main holdup, I guess, for them, the CMA, was the fact that, in their opinion, Microsoft controls 60 to 70% of the cloud gaming space. And really, that's only because Google just left with Stadia. They shut that down. And all these other options have been kind of failing left and right with that as well. So I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. And I think in the end, they may come to that conclusion themselves. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Word. Yeah, hopefully, you know, I think it's going to go through too. And if it does, that'd be dope. They have some sort of new property that they make with Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like, if an exclusive is good, if they make something AAA like God of War. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Halo ain't cutting it.
Yeah, and I'm, you know, like you said about exclusives, I can't say I'm anti them, because a lot of my favorite games of all time are exclusives. So it's like, you have that aspect of it, but I also, just for my greedy self, would prefer to buy one console and not have to buy 3 a generation to play everything good.
Word.
So, you know, that's how I'm looking at that. Now, to just switch subjects real quick, I'm assuming you saw the Sony press conference the other day.
Yeah, well, I seen the trailers. I seen the new like handheld that they're rocking with.
Yeah, I actually wanted to get into that particularly and see what you thought about that, because I actually have some ideas about that. But I'll let you go first and let me know what you think about that.
Yeah, it's cool. It does remind me of the Wii U, which I have a 5-year-old son, and the Wii U has been the greatest thing, because a lot of those games, 2-player mode is made for rocking with kids. Like, most of those games,
yes,
the second player could like hop in a bubble and follow you, whether it's Donkey Kong, Mario, or like Kirby. You know what I mean? So it just reminds me of that. So it could be cool. There's a lot of touchscreen capability that's interesting in some games, and Sony is really good at like utilizing different control schemes, like with like Little Big Planet and stuff like that.
Yeah, perfect example. And that's actually the first thing I thought when I saw it too. When they said it was streaming, my mind went right to the Wii U. I was like, all right, dope. I'm like, if this is within, like, say, 250, I'd say like 2 to 250 is like the sweet spot. Obviously cheaper would be great. But when you see the backbone thing selling for $100 and that just attaches to your phone, you know this is going to be more expensive than that, being that it's a controller and has a screen on.
Yeah, but I wonder, because it said it's through Wi-Fi. Like, I wonder if you like take it with you to like the coffee shop, but you have your PS5 at home on, like if you could play there. You know what I mean?
And you can do that with remote play. So I have a PlayStation Vita. I actually got it right here with me now. One of my favorite consoles of all time. It was criminally slept on, criminally supported by Sony. But this thing, with some remote play, was dope. If somebody was using the TV, just like the Wii U, I would hop on here, remote play. Obviously, certain games don't need that, you know, quick response time that you just don't get streaming something. But for the most part, it actually worked. And I'm going to go ahead and assume this will work even better than that, because like you said, it's going connected to the Wi-Fi, not the console itself. So that tells me there should be, you know, a decent like refresh rate, or however you want to put it, where it should perform just as well as you watching it on the TV. So for me, having a family, that's like a must buy.
Word.
You know, I leave that on the coffee table.
You know, what would be really dope is if you could rock one game on that, like say your kid or roommate rocks on one game on that, and you play a different game on the console. That'd be crazy.
I think your PlayStation might take off in that case, or blow up.
Just right through the roof.
That would be dope. But even if you could say use it as just a controller too. So I have a friend who passed away, my boy Ryan, rest in peace. Me and him always said back in the day, we wish just for Madden alone, we had a screen on our controller. Nobody can see what
plays. Yeah.
Like, boom,
no
that
screen
alone
watching.
no screen watching, none of that. It's just a dope use of it. Simple little thing. And they could do something like that, make it somewhat affordable. Like, look at the Edge controller, the PlayStation Edge. It's almost, what, $200 for that, I think? something like that, and that's a controller. So you figure take some of those other additions off, or a screen on there, get us to like 250. You give me a controller with a screen on it, and fully support it to the point where you can do things like that in Madden and have your plays, I'll say on the screen. Same thing you could do for NBA 2K, NHL, any of these sports games. That would be great.
Yeah.
You could do substitutions on it, everything.
Yeah, I can definitely see for like RPGs, like all your dialogue popping up on there.
Yep, definitely. Your trees
and if it's
and
like
everything.
if it's like a JRP, like a turn-based, you could like pick your spells and all that.
Yeah, that would actually be really dope. That would actually probably get me to play more of those, to be honest with you. Sometimes flicking through all those menus just annoys me to the point where I feel like I'm doing that more than playing the game, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm done with this. This is too much. No, it's funny too. With that whole thing, I mean, there was some big game announcements there, and one of them being Metal Gear Solid Delta. As you can see, I'm a Metal Gear fan. I just grabbed the 2 that I had there just to have them in the background.
Right.
But
yo, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting. That's
That's
the greatest Metal Gear. I don't care. Greatest Metal Gear game of all time. That joint, man, I need revenge on the end.
It's good.
As a kid, I spent, it's embarrassing, but like over an hour trying to kill the end. You know what I mean? And for those that don't know, the end is this old man in a ghillie suit, and you gotta just follow him around the forest, and he blends in. He's like invisible. You know what I mean?
You basically got to read his tells like it was real life.
Yeah,
crazy.
And then I found out you could follow the bird, and that's how I finally got. But like,
that's how I took him out.
I'm hyped to do it again and see what stuff they add. Like I missed that game, and it's got one of the illest soundtracks of all time. That theme came in crazy.
Yep, that theme. When you're gonna climb that ladder. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, man,
it's gonna be great. Now. How do you feel about Kojima not being involved though?
I mean, it's a remake, so they got everything they need. So honestly, he could just add some extra flair to it. You know what I mean? Like if they just update the graphics of the old one, I'm happy with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean something like Metal Gear Solid 5 graphics. Obviously, they'd be a little bit better now, but I mean, I'd be happy with that. That would, and if it controlled this like fluidly and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped to see some of these cutscenes, like when you first see Ocelot and he's going crazy. So
spine-tingling moments. This is gonna be crazy. I'm just hoping they do it right. They cannot mess this up. If they mess this up, oh man, they're never gonna live it down. And I'm just hoping this leads to more.
They've seen the success of like Resident Evil, and they've done a great job on those. So they see what good looks like. So hopefully they take notes and go in that direction. Just like new graphics and don't change much, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe take out some what would be considered not just stuff that's not okay to talk about, and how like 80s movies have a lot of stuff now we watch and we're like, ew.
Nah, leave that. I want all of that
either.
It's been a while, so there might be. And Metal Gear was always weird. Like I don't know if you did that secret like cave like cutscene. Yeah, you got to look that up. Look up Metal Gear cave cutscene. It gets weird.
I mean, just the naked Raiden part. That would be like, what the going on?
Yeah. That's funny because that's the first Metal Gear I played, and that first mission was crazy. I was like, this is one of the illest games I ever played. And then they threw me in with this dude, and I was like, dang, I was so disappointed. I almost never played Metal Gear again after that. I was betrayed.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of people were let down by that. But I mean, then you had Resurgence. Metal Gear Rising Resurgence. That was
was it? Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah.
This joint.
Yeah. Where you get to slice your enemies up in like 75 pieces.
Yeah, it wasn't your typical Metal Gear.
Nah, I don't even consider it Metal Gear.
Way over the top.
Yeah. It's like Metal Gear side story.
Yeah, it was dope though. I'd like to see a sequel to that as well, actually. But the one thing I noticed about this, right, and I'm sure you picked up on this. So we were talking earlier about the lack of games for Xbox. And excuse me, I've been seeing a lot of people in the media, games media especially, whether it be podcasts or regular media, the websites and everything, and they've been making a lot of excuses for Xbox's lack of games for the last few years, and a little light criticism, I'd say, at best. But I noticed the negative reception to Sony's press conference, it came off weird to me because of that. Because I was like, these people are now complaining because Sony gave us games, but they haven't given us release dates. But yet we're mad at Microsoft because they keep giving us games with release dates that never meet those release dates. So my confusion lies where I'm like, all right, well, which one is it? What do you want? Do you not want to be lied to, or do you like being lied to over and over again because your messaging is just all over the place? The way I see it is they both should be doing a little better, especially Microsoft getting games out, obviously. But I would rather Sony show me some stuff and not give me a date if they know they can't meet the date.
Nah, you don't want after what happened with Cyberpunk, bro, I don't need a date. I don't need any date. Just put it out when it's ready. Like
yeah, for real. That's where I'm at. If you're gonna take an extra year in development to get it right, so you don't have to have that embarrassment, then do it. I'd just rather experience it day one and like it, rather than go, oh, this is gonna be good in 6 months when they patch it.
Yeah, or have the only people that like it, PC Master Race.
Right.
One of my boys got it on PC. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This game is awesome. Like, I can't even get past the second mission. This is terrible.
Yeah, it's like, well, you got a nuclear reactor for a computer, so I can see why you can do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't care. Take as much time as they need, and there's so much to play. Like, Game Pass has been the illest thing to ever happen to games, in my opinion, because there's so much. Like, I'm still on last gen, so I haven't upgraded yet. So I'm on Xbox One. And it's because of Game Pass. There's so much I haven't played, so I'm going back and playing through stuff. You know what I mean?
That's the way to go. I haven't upgraded my Xbox either. I'm still on an Xbox One.
Word. I do have to soon though, because Mortal
Forza
Kombat
has
1.
me thinking about it.
Oh, word?
Yeah, I like the racing games. I've always been a big Gran Turismo guy, and Sony kind of dropped the ball on those recently, just with all the microtransaction type stuff. Mainly for me, so I've been kind of leaning Forza the last couple of games. But they're both great when it comes down to the racing. But yeah, that's my one reason for wanting an Xbox at this point. If Starfield's dope in the end, then that'll probably get me to want one as well. But at the same time, could just buy a Steam Deck or a PC and still play those games.
True.
So that's the confusing part about Microsoft's thing.
I'm pushing forward. I'm gonna have to upgrade when Mortal Kombat comes out. Mortal Kombat 1.
That does look dope.
It looks insane, and man, I can't wait. There's rumors that my boy Ermac is coming back. I'm still mad he wasn't in Mortal Kombat 11. Every DLC I was waiting for him to pop up.
Yeah, that's a beautiful game too. Just graphically, it's one of the best looking games, even on last gen hardware.
Word. I've said, and I'm a huge MK fan, and I like the aesthetic of 10 better. So and based on the trailer, I'm hoping they go somewhere in between 11 and 10. Because I thought 10 was like a little more realistic. It had like a darker feel to it.
Yeah, and 11 was a little more shiny and
it was still good, but if they come somewhere in between there, I'm gonna be happy. But I think that's the game that's gonna get me to upgrade finally.
Yeah, and I'm curious about it too, storyline wise, because it sounds like from what they were saying, it's like Liu Kang is a god and he created this universe or something like that.
Did you?
That's why it's a reboot and like.
Did you beat 11?
No, I never got to the end of the story.
All right,
I got
so
80% there.
Word. So it's just wild time travel. Like it's hard to explain. Like they go back to like the original tournament. They bring back alternate versions of the fighters. It's crazy. But yeah.
Because I remember them going through time.
Yeah. Liu Kang is considered like an elder god now. So what he's doing, I don't know. But they showed young Raiden, which is dope. And then
young Shang Tsung, I believe.
Yeah. The like Kung Lao is supposed to be the legendary Kung Lao, who's supposed to be a crazy fighter. And then they're changing up the story between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So it's gonna be crazy. But yeah, you would just have to just chill on a YouTube video explaining it, because there's a lot of time travel stuff going on there. But I can't wait for it.
A lot of Marty McFly going on there.
Yeah, man. And I'm big on time travel. So any movie recommendations or something, that I haven't seen with time travel, let me know. I'm in there.
Okay, yeah. It could be a good premise when done right.
Word.
Sometimes you watch something and you're like, wait, that doesn't even make sense. How could that, if they did, wait,
I don't even,
no.
I don't even care if it makes sense. I like how they try to explain it. I just there's like different versions of it. Like you ever play Quantum Break?
Yeah, yep. I put probably, I don't know, like 5 hours into it. I never really got too far into it.
Oh, I was into it
It's
because
in
of
my
the time
backlog.
travel. You know what I'm saying? And like
Okay.
if you go around, it's one of those games where a lot of the lore is like hidden throughout the game. So you just
Oh,
like
no.
read stuff on tables or like see different messages, but a lot
Yeah,
of that stuff starts to make a lot of sense as you learn the story of all the time traveling and stuff. But
that's
yeah,
dope. And you can tie
that's a
in.
slept
I
that's a
like
slept on game. They tried something new with the half game, half TV show thing.
Yeah.
But
Didn't there was another game that did that too on PS3, I want to say, and 360.
was there?
Start with a Yeah, it started with a D. I can't think of the name of it. It'll
Word.
come to me hours from now. But it was kind of this. It was a third-person shooter. It was like an online kind of Destiny-ish thing, but the story tied into a TV show, and like they affected each other or something like that. I
Word.
forget exactly how it worked, but it was, I think THQ may have done it, or Ubisoft, one of the two. Um,
Word.
but it's funny you mentioned that. So the segue into Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Have you played it?
Nah. I've been seeing some just clips online of people building like wild stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yep.
makes me want to play it. But I'm still getting through Breath of the Wild, man. You know,
Okay.
I'm
That
still running around in there.
Well, I mean, hey, Breath of the Wild's amazing too, and it's crazy too because when you do eventually get to Tears of the Kingdom and you kind of start up that game, your initial thoughts are probably going to be kind of similar to most people's. Be like, all right, well, if this is still the same Hyrule, what did they add to this or change about it? And it's going to blow your mind. It's
Word.
amazing. And I said that about Breath of the Wild, what, 6, 7 years ago when it came out. That game's amazing. I think I put like 140-ish hours into it. About 140.
Dang.
Yeah,
Word.
it's crazy. I think I beat Ganon probably somewhere between 50 and 60 hours, but I purposely didn't save it. And then I went out and just did all the side missions
Word.
and just went out and did that. I didn't do the Korok seeds because when I found out all you do is get a big golden turd at the end for it and it does nothing for you in the game, I was like, all right, well, that's something I don't need.
Gotta
And
get
I
that
didn't bother.
trophy, man. Whatever the Switch equivalent to a trophy,
Oh,
your
but they don't
achievement.
have them. So no trophy, no achievement. I was
Dang.
like 900 of them.
You just gotta take a picture of it on your phone.
Oh, yeah. Be like, look, I did it, Mom.
Word.
And then she'll be like, is that a turd? You're like, yep, it's a golden turd. I get the
Yeah.
golden turd.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. In this one, I think there's more of them.
Dang. Yeah, I'm gonna get to it, but it looks really dope, and like people making just like crazy spaceships and giant skateboards, which is really
Yep.
cool.
Walking mechs with penises that shoot out flames. All kinds
Yeah,
of
I haven't seen that one yet. Dang.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. There's all kinds of crazy ones. I mean, literally people building mechs out of this whole thing. And it's
Word.
crazy because that was one of the things with Breath of the Wild. I mean, even up until Tears of the Kingdom came out, people were still discovering new things that you could do within that game's mechanics
Word.
and world. It's crazy. And with this one, with all the tools they give you now and everything they added, I mean, you could, I don't even know. I think you could probably put probably 250, 300 hours into this game.
Nah, I can see that
If you
people
want to get them.
making Armored Core 10 Hyrule Edition.
Yeah. Now they need to make it online and we can battle each other in our mechs that we build.
Oh,
Now we're in
crazy.
business.
Yeah.
Sell the mech battles. I'm telling you, it's the next game. Pay me, Nintendo. But yeah, I mean that game has been selling like crazy. Matter of fact, since it came out, I don't think I've heard about another game. Something new came out, but nobody knows because Zelda's still running the conversation. Now we were talking about Mortal Kombat earlier, so we already kind of got into Mortal Kombat 1. We also got Street Fighter 6 coming out.
Yes, a couple
Tekken
days.
8.
Yeah. So
I'm looking
Street
forward
Fighter
to
is gonna be crazy. The demo was pretty dope. It's interesting that they put a demo out. You know, it's not the norm anymore. Definitely takes me back to getting like PSM PlayStation Magazine with a disc in it. But it's dope because they added like I'm not big on sports games, but like I have friends that only play sports games. So my boy was showing me, you know, how in 2K you have like the GTA type world where you could run around and just
Yeah.
interact. But they have that in Street Fighter now. So you're running around like a little GTA world, and you could just fight like the dude running the food truck. You could fight the lady selling
Yeah,
bagels.
anybody you
Like
run
you
into,
could just like, yeah, it's crazy.
lady jogging, whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
just whatever, and just, you know, throw down right there.
yeah, it's dope. And from what I understand, in that mode, you pretty much build your own character, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
learn from the other characters, and then you can use their moves and kind of build your own move set using all their moves as you progress through it. And then you can take those characters that you make and I believe bring them into online versus, I want to say. I could be wrong about that part, but you can definitely export them to one of the other game modes to use them in the regular game, which is pretty dope too. I think that's interesting
Nah,
because you don't see
the
a lot of that fighting
customization
games.
is pretty dope. So I'm glad they added that in.
Yeah, I think that's a great touch. Because I remember, I don't, was it Tekken 4 or 5 maybe? I could be wrong about the one, but one of them had a similar mode to that World Tour. But it was kind of like it was kind of like a hallway crawler where you ran into bad guys and used your regular Tekken moves
Oh
against
yeah,
them.
yeah. It was like Streets of Rage style.
Yeah, exactly, like a beat 'em up style, and that was pretty cool. It got old pretty quick, just because it was the worlds weren't built up as much, as this probably will be. So
Yeah,
that's what
no
kind of got my interest peaked. That's actually the game mode that has me thinking about getting Street Fighter 6.
work.
I'm usually kind of somebody who picks up the fighting games later when they're cheaper, just to add them to the collection and mess around with them
Listen,
a little bit.
man, like some people are on it day one, but people that know Street Fighter know there's gonna be like 3 or 4
8 versions.
editions. Yeah, you know what I
Yep.
mean? When all the DLC comes out. So some people it's worth just waiting, but then all the elite players are gonna get that much better. So
Yep.
if you're competitive, get it right away. But oh, that's the original part 2?
Yeah, it's the
Fire.
special champion edition,
Word.
which I
See,
think
even
Genesis had
back then, man.
two
They
or
had
three of them.
yeah, they had turbo. It was a lot. But
Yeah.
so I think I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm
Wait
gonna
for the
wait till
super at least.
yeah, at least like 2 DLCs. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably a smart call. Smart call. I think
Yeah,
I'll probably do the same actually. Now that you mention it, and
but
it's usually cheaper then too.
yeah, usually, and it just the aesthetic is great. It's Street Fighter's always had like hip hop influence, but this one they're going
Yep,
super hard. Like even all the menus and stuff is like super graffiti related.
that's dope.
Yeah, it's really dope. And they've really been big on connecting with b-boys and b-girls, like the breaking scene.
Oh,
Like
that's dope.
for Street Fighter 5, they had like a couple of the world champion like b-boys like Lilu. I know they had Hong Ten, which are some of the world champion breakers, and they had them in their commercials, and now like some of their characters are doing like breaking moves.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
so
That reminds
over.
me of Eddie Long. Was it Eddie from Tekken? I hate him.
Are you talking about Eddie Gordo?
Eddie Gordo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the
My,
noob's dream right there, you know?
oh God, it's my nightmare.
Word.
Just over and over.
Yeah, man. Capoeira was
Yep.
strong, but
Only
it
this
is really dope that they're, you know, incorporating that into the game. You know, Tekken has that a little bit. There's like a female character, I can't remember her name, but she has like a couple of like top rock moves. I think she does like a 6-step and stuff, but it's
Yeah.
dope that they're really adding that into some of their new characters.
Yeah, well, I don't think we see that enough in gaming, honestly. How is the most popular genre of music in the world not like, well, not, I should say, why is it so underrepresented in gaming as far as like the music ending? I mean, yeah, you see it in your 2Ks and your Madden, but beyond that, in a lot of other games, you really don't see much of it. I can think of like Miles Morales had some in it. Yeah, I don't really know why that is. I would have to put it down to intimidation factor, which I'm sure you've ran into in your dealings of performing and things like that, dealing with venues. Some people just hear hip hop and automatically they're like, oh, somebody's going to get shot.
Yeah,
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it sucks because people don't like take an extra step to see what, the artist they're dealing with, you know what I mean? And seeing if that's even part of the scene that they're dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
But
even people who hit those subjects. I'm I know I talk about some dark things, but that doesn't mean like I'm like some serial killer and I'm gonna come shoot up the place or something like
Yeah.
that. It's just
No, it's it. Any
it's artistic.
like limited amount of research on the people you're dealing with as far as performers, you can see who's gonna bring problems to your venue. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Without just saying like, oh, it's this type of music, get out of here. But I think, Street Fighter's done a pretty good job. You know what I mean? I think they've had a lot of success with putting hip hop into their games, whether it's their menus. You know what I mean? Marvel vs. Capcom has some dope records on there, and then I
Yep.
know Mega Ran has had records in like Capcom games.
Yeah, that's dope too. I like seeing that too because he's a huge fan. It's just dope to see it kind of circle back like that. Doesn't happen enough.
Yeah, definitely. And then there was this was a while ago, but Lupe Fiasco had that big battle with one of the top Street Fighter champions, and he actually beat him. And they said it was a fluke or whatever, but hey, that's hip hop and video games at like the highest level as far as competitive.
Yeah, anybody can have a bad day too, and somebody can get lucky. So it can go either way. Yeah, I don't know what the holdup is, but developers, wake up, get with us, talk to us. We got ideas too over here in the hip hop zone. Definitely not dug into enough at all. I feel like more can be done on both ends. I don't know, because I know I can be unapproachable sometimes as a hip hop artist. You come see me 10 minutes before I'm performing, don't talk to me. It's a waste of time. Because I'm not gonna. I'm like in my songs already, over and over in my head. I'm sure you do the same thing. It's all repetition. So sometimes before, we can come a little standoffish and not even realize we're doing it just because we're so like stuck in our head and what we're about to do. That's unless you're one of those guys who raps over your vocals and you're just don't do that.
That's crazy talk. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I don't even like what happened. How did this happen? But anyway, move on to the next subject here. Have you played the newest Star Wars games?
So I haven't played the new one, but I played Fallen Order.
Okay, me too. Good, perfect.
Yeah.
I personally really like that game. I thought it was dope. I was like, okay, this is like Uncharted but Star Wars, basically. With a twist of like some Souls.
Word. Yeah, it was just I thought it was very slow, like slow moving. Like I got used to it eventually, but I remember thinking that when I first started. I was like, you're a Jedi, but you're moving like, this slowly. But I think that's just to give it that Souls feel. They wanted you to not, be super agile.
Yeah. And it's the classic video game trope. Start you underpowered and work your way up.
Word. But the story was amazing. Like I really dug how they did the story. I like that they weren't really afraid. Like they had license to do what they wanted with the story, basically. Like this timeline in this section of the universe, you could do whatever you want, it seemed like.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of how Star Wars, when they do these animated shows and video games and stuff, they actually cast real actors in the role, just in the off chance they do want to write them into something else. Now Cal can be written into, say, what period are we in here? This is post Order 66. So if they wanted to put him on one of the shows from the prequel times, they could and have him in there. They probably will at some point. That's probably why they did it. They did the same thing for a few characters that were in the Clone Wars that are now in the live action series.
Word, yeah, they did it with Ahsoka.
And,
yep.
So it's pretty dope that they do that. I wish more franchises and more media thought that way. Kind of like how when the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, kicked off, everybody started wanting to do their own universe. Just none of them could do it right. In this sense, I wish they'd do it and just get it right, because it just makes so much sense to have that synergy. That's the one thing I think Star Wars has always had, because even before Disney bought them, they had the expanded universe, and they had this plethora of just deep stories that they can use for all these games and things like that. It's great.
Yeah, tons of lore, and it was cool. Like I think they picked a good actor for Cal Kestis.
Definitely.
And it was really dope, to see Deborah Wilson in there. Yep. I was tripping out, man. I was a big Mad TV fan. I was always choosing that over SNL. So I was hyped to see her.
Crazy. I was playing the game and I'm like, why did she remind me of something? And I was sitting there for the longest time, and I couldn't figure out why. I just had this feeling, and then finally I figured it out. I'm like, oh my god, like that's why. I'm like, I have seen her before. But yeah, that was dope. That game was really good though. Start to finish, it was dope. I got stuck a couple times, had to put it down. Did the classic. I played this boss like 60 times and just die over and over again. Put the controller down, come back the next day, beat it first try.
Word.
Weird thing that happens.
Nah, that Darth Maul's planet, that was the one I got stuck on for a while.
Yeah, that one was challenging for sure, especially when them dudes, the Darth Maul lookalikes, came out and started messing with you because them dudes were ruthless.
Yeah, man.
Now the new one, I want to play the new one. It looks good. It's gotten good reviews based on the gameplay and the graphics, but the one stick up on it has been performance. And I kind of wanted to talk about that subject with you a little bit because it seems like lately, like you were saying with Cyberpunk, these studios can't launch complete working games for some reason.
It's because they have the option. I think the internet has messed up a lot of things. One of them, I think the biggest things for people that are old enough to remember is microtransactions. Like that has really damaged games for people that experience games without it. But also there was no try again. There was no edit after. There was no patches. They just didn't have the chance. So we got full, complete versions of these games instead of they kind of have like a cost benefit analysis where they're like, all right, let's put it out now. You know, people have waited long enough and we could just patch it. You know, and fighting games especially are like really bad about this. Like Street Fighter 5 came out with no arcade mode, which is crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They had support from Sony on that. How are you Capcom and have Sony's support?
It's just because you can't
do that? Like what? And that's the crazy part too. It's like these companies have all these resources and spend all this money on what? You're not putting out games, and when you do, they're broken. So, like, I think we need to spend their money better. Maybe. I think they should, like we were saying earlier, delay the game. I don't care how many times you delay it, because I've heard the saying, like, if you know, a bad game at launch is a bad game forever, but a delayed game that's broken but fixed for launch is always a good game.
Word.
I'm paraphrasing clearly because I did horrible, but I mean,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but it's weird, and it's also an industry where there's a lot of stories have come out about the crunch time that they've put into it, like forcing employees to work like exorbitant hours just to get a game out on deadline. But then it's not finished anyway, so it's there's something going on here, and I think it's probably with a lot of industries where they should spend more of the money paying their workers and just getting more help on these games instead of getting these employees to just do crazy amounts of work just to not even finish it and have to patch it anyways.
Yeah, and that's weird too. You think they're putting in all that extra time, they would come out with a better product. But if these people are burnt out, you make mistakes.
Yeah, they're burning out to put out a game at like 75%. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And some of these decisions they make are just like, you're just like, why would you ever think this was a good idea? Some of this stuff. It's like, I'm just a fan. And I'm like, wow, that was dumb. Like from jump. I don't want to like say anything in particular, but there's some games that come out with certain, like the whole games as a service thing. That's kind of, you're seeing now, most of these games that are coming out in that model are failing now because people are already either locked into your Apexes, your Warzone, and your Fortnite, that they're not really gonna go spend money on another game. Usually people like that will lock into a game or two. And then when these people are just putting out games that are, pale comparisons of these games, they're basically cheap ripoffs of these games. You're not going to make any headway. For instance, I'm sure you saw that game. Something about foam on the Sony press conference. I think I could be wrong. It might be Ubisoft, but it's basically Splatoon, but not Splatoon.
Oh, split. Is the bootleg Splatoon?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I think I missed that one.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like instantly, when you see this, if you go back and watch it, I think it's called like Foam. There's Foam is in the title. I know that. Just go look this up. Like the second this came on, I was just like, I'm like, yep, that one ain't staying long.
Word.
Like, because that's
Yeah,
a
I don't know.
very distinctly Nintendo property.
Word. Yeah, and how do you feel about like Anthony saying that's Foam Stars? That's the joint.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been
Yep.
big on like indie games, you know, like not even
love 'em.
the AAA like big games or even the big multiplayer. Like I'm still playing Dead Cells, and they
Okay.
you
Yep.
know, and that's like a Metroid / Castlevania type game. And
Yes. Classic Metroid.
it's good for my like schedule. Like as a father, as someone that works, it's like that's a game I could play a little bit at a time and have fun with it every time. You know what I mean? So I'm still playing that. And they keep dropping DLC. You know, they dropped the whole Castlevania DLC with
I was
new
gonna say,
levels and
yeah,
all that. Yeah,
that's
it's
dope.
fire.
Too.
It's
I love
amazing.
Castlevania, so
Yeah, and you know, Katana Zero is probably one of the illest games like that, where you're like this samurai running around, but you also have bullet time, and you
that's
know,
dope.
but every level, like if they hit you, like it's one shot kill, and then you got to start the level over. So it's like a good skill builder game. You got to figure out your
Okay.
path. But you know, that's a big thing for me. So you know, that's what a lot of these patches and stuff like push me toward even more. So it's like why spend all this money on these big games that aren't even playing right when I could play these games that are
Yeah. I'll
supported
play Spelunky.
constantly. Word. Yeah.
You know, I mean, indie games are kind of where it's at, especially when it comes to the smaller budget games. If you want to spend like $5 to $20 and get a great game, that's the way to go. You know,
Nah,
you get your
definitely.
Hollow Knights, Celeste. There's so many, whatever your genre is.
Yeah,
I mean,
Hollow Knights, like they killed me on that one. I was I couldn't get good at that. But Willow of the Wisps, that was Oni, the two Oni games.
Yep.
Fire or Ori, yeah.
Ori, yep.
Yeah. Those games are crazy. Hyper Light Drifter is really good.
Yep. What was that one? Damn, it's gonna aggravate me. Oh, it's right in front of me. But yeah, I mean, there's so many indie games that are worth playing.
Yep.
And you talk to some people, it's like they don't even know these games exist.
Especially for like people that aren't big, you know, you give them God of War and they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? You give them Call of Duty and like it's funny, people that have never played a shooter, if you ever hand them the controller and they don't know how the camera works, it's like you take that for granted. But it's like people can love games, but they don't want to do all this stuff at once. So you give them like Ollie Ollie World. That's like the perfect type of game where they could just, you know, have fun in a similar way that they used to, where it's like not too many controls that's bugging them out.
Oh man, you just made me feel like a horrible gamer because I was horrible at those Ollie games.
Listen, I love those type of games. That control scheme is dope, and it's all like lo-fi hip hop music. So it's
that soundtrack is crazy.
Yeah, it hit me on a couple levels.
Yeah, definitely dope game, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember the name of this game. It's gonna bother me. It was basically like another Metroidvania. Those are probably one of my favorite categories as far as indie games go. There's just so many choices. Roguelikes are good too. Those can definitely be good fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too clear on the definitions, but side-scrolling action games.
Roguelikes are kind of like stuff where like dungeon crawlers, basically. Okay. I believe would be considered.
Work.
Light RPG-ish.
Yeah. Now I'm into it, man. The new I guess it's like a remake with an old school style, the Shredder's Revenge, the Ninja Turtles.
Oh my god, I've beat it with 3 characters so far out of the 5, I want to say. Love it. Such a good beat 'em up. The best in so long. And actually,
so good.
I don't know if you saw, this one looks along the same lines. Actually, 2 of them I can think of right now. First one would be, they have a Toxic Crusaders beat 'em up side scroller that looks very similar to Shredder's Revenge. That looks promising. So if it has the same style of gameplay as Shredder's Revenge, that'll be dope. And I don't know if you remember the Toxic Avenger or not, but that's based on like that property in a cartoon from the 80s. But if you like the Ninja Turtles, it's kind of right up that alley. The movies are
for that.
Crazy brutal though. Don't watch those movies with your kids.
Yeah, I played through Ninja Turtles with my son. It was dope. But yo, at the end, if you look up, there's a song Raekwon and Ghostface rapping about Ninja Turtles in that game.
Yep.
It's
They
fire.
dropped that like a week the game came out, I think. So I listened to that on streaming when it first dropped. I'm like, wait a second, what is it?
Yeah, bro. It was playing like during the end credits, and I was like, I'm not tripping right now. Like that sounds like Ghostface. Like,
Sounds like a good trip to me. Like,
yeah, I just didn't.
cool
I didn't
rapping about
expect
Ninja
it.
Turtles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did not expect that.
that's dope. Yeah. Oh, and the other one was Double Dragon Neo, I want to say it's called. So it's a new Double Dragon game, classic beat 'em up, but it has a weird cartoony art style to it that
Cartoony, like the last Streets of Rage cartoony.
yeah, but more like 8-bit.
Oh, nice. All right, yeah.
Almost like a 12-bit, if you would.
Word.
And it definitely looks different for a Double Dragon, but the gameplay on it looks really good. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I hope they keep churning those out because beat 'em ups have been just neglected for so long. I've always wondered why they didn't do more beat 'em ups with move sets that you find in like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat and things of that nature. Never understood why they haven't done more like that.
Yeah, they definitely don't get deep enough. Like I could see them doing beat 'em ups with like a chain style fighting, like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, that
Like
would be dope.
they could go really deep and just do that same style, but just side scrolling. Like I'd be into that for sure.
Absolutely. So developers, hit us up. We got plenty of ideas for you.
Yeah.
And on that note, I want to thank my man Death of Simplicity for coming through in the first episode of Masters of the Gamerverse.
Yes,
I'm your
sir.
host, Shallow Mental. Mr. Simplicity, if you could let them know what you got coming up as far as, I should say, non-simplicity. My bad. But let them know what you got coming up music-wise, any shows or anything coming up, anything like that.
Yeah, so coming up, June 16th, I'm gonna be opening up for Souls of Mischief in Greenfield. They're doing the 30th anniversary of 93 Till, which is crazy. So all the hip hop heads in mass should come through and rock with me, rock with Souls. That's gonna be a great show. And then July 1st, I'm throwing a show. Me and my Genosha crew goes to the Machine Weapon ESP. We're doing a show in Southbridge, Mass at Starlight called the ESPYs. So it's basically ESPs, connecting with the people that he thinks are really, really dope, play on the ESPYs for the, the award. And it's going to be a lot of dope cats. It's going to be Fabian, Shamir, all of Genosha's performing. And we also got Tim Berry playing beats. Anuel Bay is playing beats as well. So it's going to be a lot of dope cats.
Oh, yeah, that's dope. That's what's up. All right, people. On behalf of the Culture Corner and Masters of the Gamerverse, once again, I'm Shy Elemental. This was my guest, Death of Simplicity here. You better be on the lookout for his music. Dude can spit for days. Got fire. I've seen him live. I know what he can do. Dude's an animal on the mic. Don't forget it. We'll see you next time. Have a good time and get gaming. Peace.
Peace.